All right, yo, 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 it's your boy Yoshi Kid Neo, and we are back playing D&D in the Adventures of Boridil. I am a little slow to start today because Foundry, for whatever reason, I had moved all of my music to a different folder, and it didn't update, so most of my tracks actually didn't come with me. So I had to start deleting them, but I found out that some of them still work for whatever reason. And yeah. So the only thing I've got, let's see. There it is. I've got to get some stuff ready to roll on my Discord playlist thing, because that's what I'm gonna have to do if they end up getting into a fight. Right, but I think we should be fine. We should be good to go. Today, they're gonna meet Tasha from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And if you live under a rock, I guess maybe you wouldn't know what that is, or who that is rather. But my players are aware of who she is, kind of, just because I showed them the book. So it should be quite interesting how they approach her and stuff like that.
Bear, someone takes over the bear. Yeah, that one was.
I have noticed that none of you are in the game.
Mine says game pause.
Oh, yeah, mine
Really?
says, yeah, I guess I gotta leave and come back then.
Yeah, I think
I'll
you gotta
just-
refresh the page.
Ooh.
Bossy, are we?
This is the funniest episode ever.
Perfection. Alright, I'm back in.
Okay, good, that works. That wasn't
Were
working
you able to
either.
record it as a
Yep,
messed up version?
I actually just recorded or took the original file and just cut it and then paste it like 5 times.
Awesome.
All right. So, last time we left our heroes, you guys had just gotten done fighting off a Kraken priest and a Megalodon, as well as some the Hagen and creatures that you weren't quite sure what you would call them. The ship that you guys were on was in, or had taken severe damage, almost to the point of sinking. But luckily the crew, what's left of them anyway, were skilled enough to be able to patch things up with the help of the Nameless, Warforged that only serve the purpose of whatever their master wills. So now with the ship repaired, Captain Varnus had ordered you all to stay in either your chambers or on the top deck, not to go anywhere else for any reason unless he gives you permission specifically as to ruin any of the repairs that have been done, because if that happens, there's no telling if you'll be able to make it to your destination. You all complied and spoke to each other about the things that you had found out earlier, most notably the cargo, the special cargo that the ship was harboring. You had gotten some information out of one of the crewmates that the cargo were a bunch of teenage refugees that were essentially going to be sold at this port that you guys were headed to. And even though it goes against everything that you believe in, this one time you'll have to let it slide because you have bigger fish to fry. You guys ended up making it to the continent that houses Ziradel Empire, Titanian Empire, Ciavitas Empire, and the Guista Empire, which is all the way over here to the right. But you don't know exactly where you are, and as the ship starts to pick up speed, heading directly for the cliffside, everybody kind of braces before going through a illusionary wall and into a subterranean river that the ship was sailing down for about an hour or two. You lost track of time as it was extremely dark, and without the sunlight, as well as the, I forget which, what is it, the something mind feat that you can take that you know the time always, regardless of where you're at. None of you have that, so you have forgotten kind of what time it is. Anyway, after an hour or two of sailing down this river, you guys came to this fortress in the middle of a large open cavern. The pirates started to flash their lantern in a sort of Morse code that Snoopy was very familiar with, as he, one, is a rogue that has thieves' cant, and two, has the sailor background, so he knows the code that they were using. And he was able to decipher that the crew were part of a criminal organization known as the Black Hand. And they were granted access to the docks, in which you guys, let's see, go ahead and get to Skullport here. As you guys had come to the docks, you ran into this gentleman who had come on board and was looking for whoever it was that he was supposed to be meeting via the word of Joker. He introduced himself as Medel Din, and Zuka has actually dealt with him before. He's actually dealt with him twice, and one of those times he killed them. But yet here he stands before him, and now on friendlier terms, I guess you could say. You guys watched as they unloaded these slaves after Medal Din had told you guys exactly what was about to be happening, and all of you held your tongue, as this is not your place to speak. You don't even really know where you're at, except for you're in a criminal underground city of some sort named Skullport. You guys ended up getting to a gambler's den where Medal Din said that you would wait here for an hour or so while he was a part of a big meeting, and to not cause any trouble, and to leave this gambling hall at your own risk, I guess, just in case. As he had left or started to leave, a gentleman had walked in with a mask of gold, and as he started to walk through towards one of the back doors, everybody started to put gold inside of a bag that one of his followers was carrying. Medal Din had told you guys that it would be a good idea to show patronage to this gentleman, because whoever doesn't ends up getting beat by everybody in the tavern. So all of you put in some amount of money, whether it be gold or platinum, and the gentleman that had only put in 11 copper pieces was what are you doing, Kirsten? Anyway, the gentleman that only put in 11 copper pieces was apprehended by everybody else and slammed onto one of the tables and then beaten to death with this bag of coin. His corpse was then thrown outside of the tavern, where you watched these large rat-like creatures come up and start to devour the body before the door had closed to essentially shield your eyes from the grisly sight. It's at this moment that you decided, okay, it's probably time to just chill out and order some food and drink and try to get through this, which you guys all ordered something, and about 30 minutes into your meal or so, this portal had opened up in a very eye-catching way, and out walked a woman in white robes and a white hat with a sort of what looks to be a tattoo of like a trident or something on her right cheek. As she took a seat, she waved her hands, and magically a lot of the food and drink from the back started to populate her table. A book that she was carrying, that was essentially, the book itself is outlined in this sort of like gold brace, and the cover of it is this sort of deep purple color. And there's a clasp that holds the book together in the shape of a 6-fingered hand. And it started to float in front of her as she took her seat, and she started to turn the pages, reading very carefully through her book, through each page. And that's where we're going to start today's session. Is with this woman having sat down on the other side of the tavern, which, by the way, is called Crook Spar Parlor.
Cool beans. Sorry, still swallowing food right now. My bad.
No, you're good, dude.
I mean, you can roleplay that because it's literally what's happening.
Exactly,
With your
yeah.
character.
You are eating.
I'm gonna go introduce myself. So I'm gonna get up. Cadfan's on my shoulder. Have I had time to do that, or am I still alone?
No, since short rests are only 10 minutes long, Cadfan is with you.
Cool, perfect. And if I join you?
As the woman is sitting there reading her book, you walk up and ask. In her right hand, she's got her index finger pointed towards a cup. And she's essentially twirling her finger in a circle motion. And you can see that the cup she has is a cup of tea. And she's got the spoon currently mixing in what looks to be sugar as it's being poured in. And as you come up and ask if you may join, she continues to do so and doesn't really pay you any attention as she flips another page of her book.
Alright, I'm gonna sit. And it's an interesting book you're reading.
As
then,
you
like,
sit
I'm gonna,
down,
like, feed Cadfan a piece of like chicken.
okay.
Oh.
You feed your bird a piece of chicken.
Yep.
Your what is your alignment? It has just changed to chaotic evil. I'm just joking.
No.
I'm just joking. So
It's
you
a
sit
raven.
down.
They eat chicken.
Yeah, I know. I'm just joking. Birds are birds are birds. But you sit down and you grab a piece of chicken and toss it up to Cadfan, and he happily eats it. And the moment you sit down, you look back over to her and you notice that her finger has stopped twirling. And you are looking essentially at the back of her book, which is still sitting there and is floating steadily. She then holds her palm face up. And as she starts to grip, making a fist, the book closes and then disappears as it sort of fades translucently. And then she's sitting there with a clenched fist, staring at you before releasing it and relaxing her arm.
My name's Maeve. What's yours?
Before I introduce myself, I must say that you're either really brave or really stupid.
Maybe a bit of both.
Well, I hope to find out here soon. It's not ever, actually, that anyone interrupts my study when I come here. And she looks around the parlor, and every time her eyes meet the eyes of one of the other patrons, they cower in fear and kind of like try to get out of the way of her gaze. And then after she does that, she looks back. See, everyone knows not to disturb me when I come here. But I can tell that you're new. You've got
I
too much
am.
of a bubbly personality for this type of place. Unless, of course, you're sadistic.
Maybe just a little.
She actually cracks a smile before straightening her face back up to the sort of RBF style that she's got. Maeve, you said your name was?
Yes, and yours?
She holds out a hand, and from her hand, you see a ghostly visage essentially come forward in the shape of a mage hand. Except for this one is slightly purple instead of the normal ghostly, I guess, white translucent color. I'm Tasha. Tasha, Queen of the Witches. Well, formerly.
Wow.
Do you have a particular reason that you wish to speak of me or with me? It would seem that you don't know who I am.
You are correct. That's why I was curious. And I don't know, I just kind of got this sense that we are going to be friends.
Friends is a very strong term.
Pleasant acquaintances to start with, then?
He kind of puts a half-assed smile and is like, I'd like to deal with that, I guess. Pleasant acquaintances it is. For now, anyway.
Wonderful. What do you know about Skullport? I mean, I am new, so I don't really know much about this area.
She snaps one of her fingers, and you can hear some rummaging coming from the back area. What type of sweets do you like?
I do love a good tart.
Tart it is. And as she waves her fingers around in the air, you see a tart start to, freshly out of the oven, float towards you, land on the table. Two mage hands come out and start to slice it into edible pieces and serve it onto a plate with a cup of tea next to it. And it slides in front of you, slides in front of her, and she begins to stir her tea again while watching you.
Wonderful, thank you. And then I want to use... Do I have a drink with me?
I mean, you got a glass of tea now.
Perfect, I want a glass of tea. And then I'm going to use prestidigitation to warm it up.
Okay. So you warm it up, and she kind of just stares at you while you do it. Skullport is many things. It's home to the filthiest of criminals, murderers, assassins, slavers, you name it. It probably lives here, or at least once did. Not a place that is widely known throughout the world. In fact, most of the denizens of Skullport would rather die than tell where the secret is kept hidden for very good reason. As I'm sure you have probably seen in a short time span, this is the central market for slave trade.
Yes, unfortunately I did see that.
So you're not here to purchase, then?
No. We're just kind of, hopefully, passing through.
Very interesting. I've heard that the slave auctions can be quite a sight to see. Sometimes I go there for entertainment myself.
I kind of look away and I'm like, well, I think I could do without seeing that.
So, not only are you bubbly, but you're on the good side of things, are you?
I'd probably say more neutral. I won't necessarily try to start a rebellion and stop what's going on here, but I also don't necessarily want to participate in.
Well, I'm glad you're not trying to stop it, because I'm almost certain that you would fail, at least by yourself.
Agreed.
Unless
So what are you
had-
doing? Sorry, off topic, out of character. Can I do a check of some sort to see what I know about witches? Like if they have like a central location or like
do a...
like a capital or something?
Yeah, you can do a history check. So you know that witches are essentially the exact same thing as wizards. Witches are typically of the female sex as opposed to wizards. But anyone can be called a wizard, whether they're male or female, but it's almost exclusively that witches are female. As for where they reside the most, you, like everybody else, know that Ciavitas Empire and that sort of location around the Twisted Wood is a big location for the magical sort. There are a lot of magic practitioners out in the world in all the various locations, but a large majority of them do come from the Ciavitas Empire.
Okay. Okay, back in character. So, what are you doing away from the Ciavitas Empire?
And what makes you think I'm from the Ciavitas Empire?
Well, it was a healthy guess based off of typically that's where most magical folk from or usually tend to congregate.
Fair. And in fact, you are correct. I used to rule the Ciavitas Empire many, many years ago. But I grew bored. Running an empire is...
Of ruling?
Yeah. Running an empire is not what they all say that it is. It's all politics, making sure that your friends remain so, and that your enemies remain afraid. Making the people happy, which is a lot harder than you would think. You know how many people scale their happiness differently? Everyone.
Yeah.
So after
With,
after 5-10
Okay, go ahead.
years or so, I decided it was probably my time. My reign. No one could take the crown from me, not even if they tried. So I relinquished it and went back on my journey, working on my latest project. Do you know what fascinates me more than anything? She starts, she stops twirling her spoon in her tea, and she's instead sort of glancing at her nails and kind of picking at them a little bit. And as she's doing that, she asks that question, and when you ask what, she looks at you with a sideways glance. Demons. Have
Yeah.
you had your fair share of run-ins with them and their kinds?
I personally have not. I've ran into who was probably a servant of a demon, but not a demon themselves.
Well, they fascinate me. Their forces are infinite. Their power is great. They aren't as selfish as you would think they are. All they seek is to destroy. And yet there's no stopping them. Have you ever heard of the Blood War?
Have I, Braid?
Roll history
I don't
at
think I have
disadvantage.
Tough choice.
Yeah. You have not heard of it.
Can't say that I have.
Well, hope you never do. If you think that the things that are happening now between, say, the Titanian Empire, since we're so close to them, you haven't seen madness till you've delved into the abyss.
Interesting. I kind of like
perhaps
look at
the
Cadfan
story.
a little bit.
Cadfan looks at you and kind of like shrugs his wings. And as she's looking at you after your thing, you seem quite interesting. What about that of your friends over there?
Well, I am the most interesting one out of all of them, but I'm more than happy to introduce you to them if you'd like.
Very well. I believe that the more the merrier.
All right, let me go get them real quick. I think it would be quite rude to just yell across the bar.
Oh no, by all means, please.
What's wrong?
Snoopy, here, boy.
Oh, he's for you.
Okay, I'm gonna go
Joe,
get the
did you
group.
hear that?
No,
don't
can you
think-
say that again?
I said, Snoopy, here, boy.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, you said
Wow,
Joe.
your timing is impeccable. Like literally, the second I took my headphones off, you said that. This whole time. So can you repeat like that last 5 seconds?
Snoopy,
yeah.
here, boy.
Dave calls for you.
That's all, I just hear. Without like even I was eating my food probably pretty intently, and instantly when you say that, I appear at your feet, sitting, looking directly up at you.
I want to give him more chicken. Does
Okay.
Cadfan look jealous? Because I might need to give him more chicken too.
Cadfan
And
is
by
definitely
appear, I mean I
jealous.
blinked over there, obviously.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what I figured.
I'll give them both more chicken.
Tasha raises a surprised eyebrow as she eyes Snoopy. Wow, that is a fantastic creature you have there.
And I
Yes,
just kind of
his
do that,
name
like
is Snoopy.
the tilt head with the tongue sticking out the side, like.
And she looks at you, and as she holds, as she starts to hold her hand towards you, you say that, and she holds her hand back, and it can speak.
It can.
Yeah, hi, I'm Snoopy. What's your name?
She holds out her hand, and you see the mage hand come in front of you. Shake.
I summon my mage hand and shake hers with mine.
And she smiles, a right-sided smile. You are very, very impressive. You may call me Tasha.
I'm gonna make eye contact with Angie and wave her over. And Zuka.
Angie takes a sip from the whiskey, and then puts the cup down on the table, and then looks at Zuka, and slowly gets up and starts walking towards him.
I really don't know what your other friends are gonna have to offer to this whole conversation. I think Snoopy is more interesting than you, unfortunately, Maeve.
That's okay, I don't take any offense. He is a pretty awesome dog.
What's
And
interesting
as-
about me?
And she kind of looks at you. Well, last time I saw a dog, they were rolling in their own shit.
Oh, he does that too.
Yes.
I kind of like try not to like show it, but like secretly I think about the last time I did that, like a day ago.
Well, those dogs weren't able to speak or even cast a spell, yet here you are. Very interesting indeed. Were you born this way? Or perhaps someone enchanted you?
I was awakened.
Interesting indeed. And she sort of starts to stroke her chin as she is studying you. And after a few moments, Zuka and Angelica have gotten to the table. But go ahead.
I asked, wait, do you maybe know who my master was? His name was Charles, and apparently he lived in the, and I like try and remember, I grab my like collar and flip it out upside down to her with my mage hand. Misty Peaks?
Ah, the Misty Peaks. Yes. I know Charles. Or
Is he
knew of him,
still
of course.
there? Okay, he is.
In a way, yes. Yes, he is still there.
What does that mean?
I believe he passed. Does that upset you?
I thought he did. That's the last thing I remember, or one of the first things I remember.
Get their title because of something that they're working on. They're trying to do something to change the world. And I remember Charles's dream was to give sentience to the poor creatures that we call pets. To make them something more of companions instead of playthings. It would seem that you were his first and possibly last successful, awakened, as you say, creature.
Well, I met this dog named Ellis, but he was only temporary. It was every day he had to be reawoken.
Ah. So someone is following in the footsteps of Charles, yet they don't have whatever secrets he had founded. She brushes her hair back behind her ear. I'm almost certain if you were to find his study, you could have more of your kind.
Yeah, I plan to get over there sometime, but Misty Peaks are kind of far away right now.
That is true.
And we have some business to take care of.
What type of business brings you to Skullport? I'm assuming that you're not here by accident, as Maeve.
Well, I kind of like look left and right to the party, like making sure. We're not necessarily in Skullport for anything. We came here through transport to get somewhere else.
And you just so happen to know folks that can get you to Skullport as part of that transport. Very interesting. And then she looks towards Rakim. Does it have anything to do with the king with you? A wanted
I mean,
king,
a little, I guess. We just made some friends and in some areas that are able to help us through the Black Hand.
Very diabolical
like
group.
You rub their belly and they rub yours.
She kind of giggles a little under her breath. Yes, I could see that working out for you. But you take too much from the Black Hand, and they're only going to want more.
Oh, I'm used to being in debt with favors. Don't you worry.
Interesting.
That's all I... Oh, hey, are you seem pretty knowledgeable about a lot of thingies.
Perhaps.
Something happened recently and it's kind of been freaking me out.
Yes.
I don't want to go into too much detail, but we were tasked to do something with these paintings that were apparently ancient. 1,000 years old or something like that. And when we went and found them, they were their paintings of our present. Like one was of me and the people I've been with.
Very interesting.
How could that have happened?
She kind of leans back and crosses her arms and starts to sort of stroke her chin a little bit. Well, one of two things could have happened there. Either A, you were lied to. That seems to be the most plausible. Or B, perhaps maybe, just maybe, those paintings were painted by a time traveler. If you believe in such a thing.
So,
or perhaps
time
even maybe you're all part of a prophecy of some sort. I've seen many paintings in my day that were of present events that someone had seen visions of.
So if someone is a time traveler, does that mean everything's predetermined and that we have no free will and nothing we do matters?
I'm gonna pat him on the head. Let's not go
Snoopy's
down
got
that road, friend.
You know, the
PTSD
PTSD
face.
For some reason my shit just froze.
I'm sorry, this week's been a lot. And I just kind of like sit there.
Hello? Can I be heard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Still hear the music, but I can't see. I gotta close it again. I don't know what's going on with my computer. Starting to piss me off. Let's see. So you asked if existence even matters, right? Something like that.
Yeah. More like kind of rambling and like freaking out than asking a direct question.
She kind of chuckles and goes, well, yes, of course it matters. See, not everything can be... More than likely, I believe that those were tricks of the eyes. Whatever paintings it was that you had found. Well, that's just my personal opinion. Without actually looking them over, I couldn't tell you.
Well, that makes more sense. Well,
Right, you guys should be able to refresh to get back in.
if there's anything else you know about Charles that might help me, or I wouldn't mind knowing it. Otherwise, it's been great talking to you. Thank you.
You're
Hope
quite
I-
welcome.
If you ever need a sneaky dog to help you out with things, I can help you.
I'll have to remember that. And she picks up her
Oh.
tea for the first time and takes a sip.
Oh, and don't worry, I didn't lose my eye, and I flip up my eye patch, and there's the other eye that's a different color. She probably could recognize it.
Yeah, she looks at it and you see an eyebrow perk up. Now, I see we have a king in our midst. Do you, sir, require a courtesy?
Well, seeing as you're a former queen, you probably don't need to curtsy.
I wasn't going to. I just wanted to see what type of royalty he is. Are you there, Gerald? Okay. She doesn't say any of that yet, and instead she looks over Angelica and goes, "Well, is this the demon that you're friends with, Maeve?"
No.
Alright, I'm back.
I mean, we're friends, but she's not a demon.
You're
I
not
beg
a
to differ.
tiefling.
Hard to explain.
Is it though? I study demons, you know?
Well, she's not a demon.
But I definitely wasn't born here. On this plane of existence. I was just dropped off, so to say.
Ah. So you are a demon then?
Yeah. You could say that.
Interesting. Are you a full demon or half?
Half. Half
That
fiend,
explains.
half giant.
Ah. Very interesting. I'm sure I've seen that combination in somewhere in my studies, but I've never met one personally. She stretches out a hand, and her mage hand warps off of her hand to come and give you a handshake. Tasha.
Angelica. And I'd reach out and give a handshake.
And you notice that her mage hand has quite a sturdy grip to it. And you've handshook with mage hands before and touched them, and they almost feel like a wet napkin. So you can definitely tell just by this embrace, as all of you kind of can, that she is definitely very, very. Tell me, Angelica, what brings you to Skullport with your friends? I seem to have gotten a different answer from everyone.
Just to be frank, we're on mercenary work.
Very interesting.
Passing through, the job done, and going back home.
I'm sure that would be lovely, huh? But if your mercenary work is with those that dwell here, I don't believe you'll be going home anytime soon.
Tell me about it.
How did you all get caught up here in Skullport? I'd love to know the truth.
Well, it is, got a job back around the City of Guilds area. Got on a boat here, on the way. And, yeah, we're stopping here until our contact is ready to move.
And who might your contact be?
Just somebody. Who's very familiar with the area. They're working as our guide to our location to finish our job.
Very interesting indeed. Might you spread some of the details of your job? Perhaps maybe I could help.
It's honestly confidential.
I did not mean to pry.
Yeah. Been in this line of work for a little bit. I kinda like to keep things on contract only.
Where all have you visited?
It was pretty much what you mean as a whole adventure as a whole, or just for this job?
I'm curious of your experiences from wherever it is you started out with your work, life, and how you ended up here.
Oh, that would be a very, very long story.
Perhaps
in all
maybe
honesty-
another time you can give me the full detail.
Of course. It would be my pleasure.
Kinda eyes Rakim and looks at him. Do you require a curtsy, my king?
Just to be clear, y'all all went to the table. Y'all hear me?
We heard a little bit. I'm pretty sure you asked if they all went to her table.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or she
everybody's
came,
there.
Yeah.
Oh no, I specifically
over.
did not go. I didn't come. I don't
Okay.
want no part of it.
In that case, she eyes Rakim on the other side. Does the king not wish to make himself known? Because unfortunately, I'm almost certain everybody in Skullport is aware that he is here.
Yeah, seeing as how his whole race is enslaved, and I don't think he really wants to.
He's
talk
not really
too
up for
much,
chatting right now.
especially in a place that sells slaves.
Is he aware of the bounty on his head?
Mm-hmm.
Is he aware of how much?
I believe
How
so,
much?
Well, let's say it's probably worth more. His bounty's probably worth more than his entire kingdom was at its peak.
How much?
He looks at you and smiles. How much would it take for you to betray you? How much would it take for you to betray your friend?
I would never betray my friend.
Then the details shouldn't concern you. If you're not in
Who
that
said he
line
was
of
my
work.
friend?
This is a very interesting one. I like him a lot.
Just kidding.
She holds out a hand and she starts to wave it to the right of her. As she does, I need a wisdom saving throw from Zuka.
I look like around everybody at. I go, hey guys, I think I just thought of a loophole.
A loophole to what?
I have an idea. And it's so crazy it just might work. And I think it'll accomplish exactly what Zuka wants. But it's not the means he probably wants. But first we need to know, how big is this bounty?
Well, maybe we should talk about this when we get to our room.
Are you there, Gerald?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wisdom saving throw, please. Okay. As Tasha starts to move her hand to her right, she pulls it away, and as she does, Zuka, you feel something tugging on your shirt, and suddenly you're pulled to her table. And then she looks, or she's sitting there in the center of the bench. Her tea is in her hand, and she takes a sip, puts it down, and then looks to her right and looks you in the eye. Hello, King Rakim.
So she literally pulled.
Yes, she pulled you from where you were, and it felt really weird. It wasn't like a portal that she had pulled you through. It's almost as if you were pulled through like a different plane of existence to get put here.
I just looked at her and it's like, I know none of y'all can do that. I know none of y'all can do that as far. And I said, "Good day, ma'am," and I get up and move my chair back to where I was.
As in, you start to go sit at the same table you were on the other side of the tavern.
Yeah.
She starts to speak a word, and she casts a spell on you. Another wisdom saving throw, please. You are currently paralyzed under the hold person spell. And as you're mid-walk, you stop with your feet firmly on the ground and stand there. And she kind of... That's awfully rude.
Can I talk?
No, you can make grunts and stuff like that, though.
Ah, goddamn it. I'm mute myself.
She looks at the rest of you and goes, "Does he treat everyone that wants to speak with him on friendly terms this way?"
Well, since he would like to stay on a low profile, I would assume so.
No one's on a low profile in Skullport. I'm going to release my spell, and if he continues to walk, he might as well say goodbye to you all. Not from me, of course, but I will help to turn in the bounty. As a king that ignores those that wish to help him shouldn't rule at all, I think.
Yeah, again, how big is that bounty? You said it's enough, more than his kingdom was worth?
Yes. I would say it's probably at least worth 4 ancient dragon hordes.
Yo. So, Rakim, we need to have a... Alright.
And she looks over to Rakim. Your choice, sire. And she drops the spell. We can either be great allies, or perhaps maybe you want a great enemy.
Just like...
As I'm coming up to the table, I'm like, like she says I'm rude. I acknowledged her, and he just like sits down. And is like, I'll hear what you have to say. I'm not happy about it. But go ahead.
You're trying to take your kingdom back from the Titanians,
You
are
could
you
have
not?
asked to talk to me. Like I mean, you could have asked to talk to me.
I did.
But yes.
I asked Maeve to bring you all over. I wanted to hear your stories.
So what was your question?
You're trying to take your kingdom back from the Titanians, are you not?
Yep, that's the plan.
Might I ask what your exact plan is to overthrowing Titanian rule?
And then he just kind of starts to scratch his, I don't know, chin, maybe.
I don't know how well versed you were in politics a few decades ago, but I used to rule the Civitas Empire.
Used to.
Yes. Perhaps maybe you've heard of Tasha the Dark.
I shrug. I don't think I have.
Well, that was my title they gave me. It would seem that I was unable to please my citizens, so I left the throne in search of adventure, of a higher calling. But I still have a soft place in my heart for my former countrymen. And perhaps maybe they could help you in taking out Titania as a whole. Once
You should have just led with that.
I felt that maybe, perhaps, you could learn a lesson of ignoring those that are attempting to speak with you.
Angelica just folds her arms with her cup of whiskey, just sipping on it as she's like paying attention to this conversation.
You see, the Titanians believe that they've taken the Ciavitas Empire, but I can tell you all they took was the physical version of it.
Interesting.
My people still walk the streets under the guise of great magical spells. They could probably take out all of the Titanians occupying the Ciavitas within a blink of the eye, but that would be quite strange for Titanians to just disappear like that. But if you're successful in taking back Cyrodiil, and if you want to get back at the Titanians for what they've done to your people, I recommend going to the Ciavitas Empire, and there's a grove of sorts, a place within the castle gardens. An ancient tree resides there, a tree that my great ancestors planted many, many years ago. That tree is the portal to where my people live currently. And if you're able to make it beyond there, tell them that Tasha the Dark sent you, and you will have an army at your service. You just have to get past the Titanians first.
If you don't mind my asking, why aren't you with your people right now? Since, you know, they're in hiding, technically.
Like I said before, I was unable to make them happy. They did not like me in the seat of rulership. And even though I'm sure I would be greeted with open arms, there's a sense of they need to take care of this on their own that I feel. I tried to solve all their problems before, and it gave me a title of Tasha the Dark. I was left with no choice but to leave them, in which they found happiness. Do not wish to use my powers when they see it fit. I do not enjoy being used.
I understand that.
But I would love to see the Titanians fall. It would be rather amusing. And who knows, perhaps maybe if there was a great battle, I would assist.
Well, if there is there any way we can contact you or
There's no
alert
need.
you?
I have a feeling that I would be able to find you all quite easily. No offense, but I am rather powerful.
Well, to be queen, you'd have to be, right?
Right, you are. And she takes another sip of her tea. I believe your benefactors, your guide, as you put it, has been taking far too long. And I grow impatient. She waves a hand, and everything that you see before you essentially vanishes in thin air, as if it was never there before. Maeve, the tart that you had eaten, the tea that you had drank, like you at one point felt it in your stomach, and now all of a sudden it's as if you haven't eaten since before then, as if everything that she did was just a figment of your imagination. Shall we go and speak with the lords of this town?
Huh. Interesting.
We were told not to leave the bar.
Oh, we're not. We're just going up to the third floor, where they're holding their meeting right now. I heard the Xanathar's back in town, and I wish to speak with him. And I think you all should too.
This ought to be interesting.
tempting.
She stands up and starts to walk towards that back door that you guys had all watched the gold-faced man and Medel Din go through. Well, come along. You only get this opportunity once.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow her.
And I get up and put my hands in my pocket and just follow behind.
I follow.
Does Zuka wish to follow? We'll put that as a maybe.
Yeah. Just.
Oh, okay. Cool. So as Natasha walks towards that door, you see the barkeeper kind of hold out a hand, and then she kind of stops for a second, and he moves it back. That's what I thought. And she grabs it with her mage hand, opens up the door, and on the other side you see this sort of like makeshift cobblestone elevator kind of thing. And everybody piles on, and she casts a spell to trigger the mechanism, which starts to make it rise. And it goes to the second story, and then to the third, and stops. A word of warning. I would not speak up unless spoken to. These criminal lords don't look at commoners the way that I do. Also, and she looks at Angelica and Snoopy, don't freak out.
I've seen plenty of weird. I doubt I will.
Yet I do. There we go. So she mage hands the door open and starts to walk in. And as you guys walk inside, you see...
I think you will.
Huh?
Freak out. I think he will freak out.
Oh. Oh my god, Davy Jones?
Kinda.
And I don't actually say that.
So you see a creature with a squid face. All of you can roll a Arcana check to see if you know what this creature is called, because I have never thrown one at you. No.
Fuck,
Oh wow.
I'm surprised that I've rolled that high in Arcana, and I'm very terrible at Arcana.
I should have rolled higher. You got my roll.
What do you mean pulling out all the books?
Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Xanthar's Guide to Everything, Wonder.
Yeah. The only person that knows this creature is Angelica, and it's because of your time with Marjorie. One time there was a vial of blood that came through that was this sort of greenish color, and you had asked her about it, and she had told you about the illithids, and she ended up drawing you a very, very neat diagram and sort of filling you in on some of the history of them that she knew anyway. The main things you know is that they do have psionic powers that are very, very great. They can essentially cripple somebody just by thinking it if their mind is not strong enough. They also get their nutrition from eating brains by wrapping their tentacles around the skull of a victim, and with a very sharp barb inside of their sort of beaked mouth, they drill a hole and essentially suck out the brain from the cranium.
Lovely image.
Yes, very, very gruesome.
Actually, that sounds like a Doctor Who creature. I can't remember.
I'm
You
almost
look the type
certain
to just roll
that
up on somebody.
Doctor Who
He's gonna
probably
roll.
got the illithid from D&D, because these guys have been around
Probably.
since
They
second
go
edition.
way back.
Yeah.
He's probably about to roll up to somebody and just threaten them. Hit one wrong step and.
Anyway, you see this gentleman, and he's wearing a pirate hat, and to the to his side, you see a creature that's completely covered head to toe in plate mail, and has a long sword strapped to their belt, but they've got their arms crossed. You then see Madal Din and the gold-faced gentleman that had walked in earlier. And then, of course, you see the very familiar beholder that had destroyed half of your party just a few days ago. And as Tasha walks in, she kind of steps to the side and shows everybody who she has come here with, but she doesn't introduce you. Xanathar, gentlemen, it's wonderful to see you all again. And they all stop talking to look over, and the beholder, you can see he gets this very angry look on his face and starts to sneer at Tasha. But then his big eye glances over and he sees all of you, and he notices Angelica and Snoopy, and a wide grin crosses his face. Interesting. I seem to remember turning you into a pile of dust, Red Woman. You look quite different. It's as if you were reanimated by that turtle.
Angelica cocks her head to the side a little bit and just raises an eyebrow looking at him. Yes.
Yes. It seems that you fell for his little trick. You know how many people I've sent to him in that state, and now they are his slaves? I couldn't count anymore. It's more than 1,000, I'll tell you that. And now you're one of them. Fool. And then he looks over to Snoopy real quick. And you, I can't thank you enough for releasing me so that I could come back to where I belong. I'm very appreciative. So much so that your friends are safe for this transgression. But if it happens again, and one of his eye stalks shoots a laser that hits about a foot above your head.
I'm glad I could help. I'm glad to see you're doing good in your natural environment, and my tail's kind of wagging.
And who are these new friends that we have with us, Tasha? Why do you bring them here? And she looks at all of you and goes, I come here because I need something from all of you. And it somewhat concerns them, so I wanted them to hear it. I understand that the Black Hands, as well as the Pirate Lords, are sharing all of your territories, and you want it back. Well, it's time to put those squabbles aside. We have bigger fish to fry. No doubt you're aware, Xanathar, that there's a demon incursion happening as we speak. And he kind of chuckles, and it doesn't really bother me at all. She looks at him, shakes her head. Well, it should. Because your Black Hand lackeys here are a large proprietor to their summons. And he casts a glance to the gold-faced gentleman and Madalgden. You see, they were selling slaves, copious amounts of slaves, to these monstrous races, making a large sum of money. And in turn, these slaves were used as sacrifices to bring on the demon lords. And I don't necessarily want to put a complete stop to it, but I do want to research it. And now I propose my deal. The Black Hand is to make contact with these monstrous races again, doubling their initial offer for the same price. Only this time, to compensate for that amount of slaves, I want you to request a meeting with their demon lord, and I wish to be a part of it. And everybody that's at this sort of round table kind of look at each other, and you can see the gentleman with the long sword, he grabs the hilt of it and holds still, and the Illithid kind of puts an arm up to kind of stop him. And all of you hear this voice in your head as the Illithid's sort of tentacles start to sway back and forth. He's noticeably speaking, but he's speaking within your mind.
And what makes you think that we would go forward with these terms?
And she then starts to laugh, sort of manically. Because if you don't, I will make sure to erase Skullport from existence. And the Xanathar furrows his brow and goes,
You wouldn't have that sort of power. I know what you're capable of.
And then she starts to chuckle again. Yes, but you knew what I was capable of, and I've grown since then. The arcane locks that guide the ships to the port, your keepers have gotten complacent, and I've learned to manipulate them myself. I could flood this entire town if I wanted to, with a flick of a wrist. And they all look at each other, and those that you can see facial expressions, which is only 2 of them, you can tell that they kind of look nervous a little bit.
You're bluffing.
And she looks towards the rest of you. Do you all believe that I'm bluffing? You only just met me.
Can I roll an insight?
Sure.
I want to too.
Okay. As you all look her dead in the eye, she doesn't show any type of expression that you would know a liar to show.
Well,
It's pretty safe.
I believe her.
Yeah. Angelica shrugs her shoulders.
And the funny thing is, Xanathar, as she starts to turn from looking to you guys, they've only just met me and had a taste, a very small taste of my power. And at this point, the Xanathar starts to float back and forth, essentially pacing, and looks back and goes, and he gets a big old smile on his face, and he's like,
Well, the way I see it, you're severely outnumbered here.
And she starts to chuckle again. Perhaps, maybe, if you knew that my mother was in on this agreement, on this meeting, that would change your mind. And you see the shock that takes over the Xanathar's eye, or his whole facial expression, is one of sheer terror.
Your mother knows about this?
Yes. Yes, she does. And she knows that if I don't return to her soon, that she will go forth with my plan to eradicate Skullport and everyone in it. And the Xanathar starts to blink extremely quickly and look to his companions, and they all kind of shrug, saying, "Dude, I don't know." And then the Xanathar looks to you all. Is this true? Which, of course, you guys have no idea who her mother is, so.
Angelica just shrugs her shoulders.
I just shake my head up and down.
And then the Xanathar seems to have caught an idea. No, you're bluffing. There's no way that your mother's in on this. Otherwise, why would you bring them here? And she looks back at you all. I do apologize. But now my mother has seen your faces through my own eyes. And she knows that you all are in this location. And if you are to not return from Skullport, she will also destroy this place. And she looks back towards the gold-faced man and Medaldin. I've put them under my protection for now, while in Skullport. And hopefully you can see that now. They are acquaintances of mine. Fond acquaintances.
Friendly acquaintances.
And as Maeve says that, Natasha nods her head in agreeance. And you can see that Medalgin, or Din, is kind of like, sort of, I guess, struck in awe. As if they may have had other plans or something like that. Gerald, are you here?
Yeah.
So the one thing you notice as you're loking, and Snoopy, you notice this too. You can see in the gold-faced man's arm, sort of like tucked under like his forearm, you can see what you can make out as an emerald tablet.
Probably not important.
Well, I point it out and tell him, what is that?
Tasha holds up her hands.
Oh, did you tell anyone?
It's not part of the deal, King. Now, you all are going to let my new acquaintances, my friendly acquaintances, have their run of the town under the jurisdiction of the Skulls. Medalgin, I understand you're the one that is going to be chauffeuring them to the Sleepy Peak. You're to make sure they get there in one piece.
Well, can that be part of the deal?
And she shakes her head. No. Drumdal Ray will have to find another way to get these emerald tablets.
Oh, okay. Well, you just shrugged your shoulders.
And you, Xanathar? I assume that this will only increase your influence, so do not think of it badly. But I expect to have our first meeting within a 10-day. If not, there will be severe consequences. And you can see that all of these criminal lords are very, very upset and aggravated. That's all I really wanted. We'll be leaving now. Medalgin, Din, don't take too much time of my friend's time. They have things that they need to get accomplished, and you're only holding them back. And she starts to make her way towards the elevator. Come along, friends. I have a gift for you.
Bye, Xanthar.
Say thank you for your time, and I follow her out.
Before I leave, I was like, hey, and then next time when we come out here, make sure all this stuff is cleaned up, and I start like waving my arm around and everything, and make sure y'all brush your teeth too. And then he leaves.
Punchy Zuka.
All Angelica does is point at the creature and start walking away while looking at him.
He kind of furrows his eyebrow in rage. And Tasha, as you guys are all coming back, she's got a wicked grin on. You guys get
I'm
into the
probably, like,
elevator.
the last one, and I say, goodbye, Xanathar. Don't be afraid to stop and say hi sometime. Just kind of prance out.
He continues to scowl at Angie. And as you guys get into the elevator and it locks up and starts to descend, Tasha starts to laugh hysterically.
Well, that was fun, Tasha. What else do you have planned?
Well, my research must go on, and unfortunately, I saw a use for all of you to help me with what I was doing. But, and she snaps her fingers and her book appears in front of her. For that, I want to reward you all. And she starts to scroll through the back of her book. And from there, she takes out a blank parchment, places it over, and says some magic words, and essentially copies that page. And she rolls it up and puts it into a scroll bag, and she hands it to Maeve. You'll have to do some research, of course. It's more than likely in a language you don't understand. But once you discover its properties, you should be able to use that magical scroll to summon a great ally for a time.
Much
And I
appreciated.
would not use his services lightly, unless you wish to die.
Good to know. We really liked meeting you, or at least I did. Hopefully we'll get to see you again soon.
Oh, I plan on it. And as you guys get to the bottom, she opens the door. It was wonderful meeting all of you. Maeve, thank you for interrupting my study. I'll be honest, I had, for a split second, thought about blasting your face with some dreadful magic.
Well, I doubt my goddesses would appreciate that, but it was wonderful meeting you. And hey, sometimes, you know, people need a short rest and a break from studying.
You're right. And make sure to tell the Morgan that my mother said hello.
I nod my head and I say, I will.
And she smiles.
So
and
who's your mom, Tasha?
I'm sure if that was necessary to divulge, you would know it already. And she kind of points to her cheek. Have you ever seen this symbol before? And I'll tell you right now, none of you have.
No.
What symbol? Post it.
It
was a
is.
trident.
Can you see it on her face? If you, oh no, you can't. It's pretty. Hold on.
I can't. You good? You said we never.
Yeah. So she points to it and goes, well, you better hope that the next time you see this symbol, it's because you're looking at me, as opposed to my mother.
Noted. It was lovely meeting you, Tasha, and hopefully we will become great friends at some point.
Yes, perhaps. Time will tell.
I just nod towards her.
And as she says that, she essentially scoots past all of you. And as she's walking outside of the elevator, that portal pops up in front of her, and she walks through it. And all of you make a perception check for me.
I didn't hear a natural 20 thing play.
It's because, so the reason it played last time is because it wasn't using one of the modules that I've got, which allows the rolls to look as they do now. So it was using the inbuilt systems. So they haven't upgraded that other mod that I have. Okay. But I believe This is a natural 20 sound. It's probably really faint, but
I'm just not hearing anything.
you don't even hear the music playing right now?
Mm-mm.
I gotta figure out why that's happening.
I have my playlist ambient interface all turned on to like medium level. So, I don't know.
Okay.
And the Skullport theme is like all the way turned up. But
yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's something either wrong with my computer's connection or there's something goofy in Foundry going on. I'll try to figure it out before next session. But it doesn't seem to happen. It didn't happen last time, right? Everyone heard last time?
I don't know.
All the music.
Yeah, I didn't.
You didn't hear it last session?
No, I didn't.
Interesting. Well, I'll try to figure it out. I don't know what all could be done to fix it, but I will try to fix it. But anyway, as she's leaving, Rakim and Snoopy, you guys look through the portal that she's going through, and as she walks through it, you can see this sort of gloomy, sort of rocky terrain that she's walked in. The skies are pitch gray, and all on the floor in these sort of like, they're not really pool, like think of a pool of water that's in like a canyon after a rainfall. Like it's just gathered into some sort of like pothole or something, except for there's these like white maggot things that are just kind of like all squirming on each other, and there are thousands and thousands of them. And as she walks through, she snaps her fingers and the portal disappears.
What did you say they were?
Huh?
What did you say they were?
They were these white maggots.
Were they like bigger than normal?
Yeah, I would say they're probably, each one of them is probably about the size of a human thumb.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure normal maggots are probably the size of a nail head. Roughly. It depends, I guess, on what kind of maggots they are, but these are pretty big. Think of the maggots that Simba eats in The Lion King, and they're roughly that size. Yeah. Slimy yet satisfying. So as she goes through her portal, all the patrons are like cowering in fear still, and they notice that she's gone, and they start to like look around, and a lot of them just leave and go home. And I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. So I guess we gotta find a place to stay.
I'm assuming so.
I wonder if the bartender will know where we can stay. Hopefully somewhere nice. I mean, it is Skullport, so I don't know. At least somewhere where we can't break into.
Fat chance of that. Seems like we're in trouble wherever we go around here.
Well,
And
I mean,
also, and I shove Maeve just a little bit. Why are you starting business that we have no business being involved with?
what are you talking about? That worked out really well for us.
Yeah.
We finally have a really powerful friend.
Indeed. But she said herself that she was very close to killing you.
I mean, who isn't?
Also, she said didn't she say the only reason why she did this because she needed help from us?
Indeed.
So what do we meet her with?
In all honesty, only thing that's on my mind is getting this job done so we can move on to everything else.
So nobody knows what we're helping her with?
Well, I think it was more along the lines of like she just needed us there as like partial muscle. I mean, we are a relatively powerful group, so
I don't think that's what it was for.
what do you
I guess
think
you
it is?
just wanted more eyes.
We were an insurance policy.
Further incentive. Anything happens to us, this place goes bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have a familiar face up there that I may or may not have business with.
To be honest, did I tell you that I set him loose?
Oh, yes, you did.
Okay, I'm glad I mentioned it and you didn't just find out right now. That would have been long couple days.
And I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing him real soon.
It didn't take him very long to get here. Yes, it didn't take us very long either. Okay, so hey, Zuka, Puka.
We should probably wait to talk about this until we're in a hotel room
Okay.
or a room.
Hey, barkeep. You happen to know if there's anywhere safe, as I hold up air quotes, to stay for the night?
Well, I'm sure you could possibly stay here. We don't normally have room and board, but a friend of Tasha's is a friend of mine. And you can see that he's like stumbling over his words out of sheer terror.
Hey, so I thought that Goldface boy was gonna take us to a place.
Is he?
I
Well,
thought
I
he
know
was
we have
like
a
showing us around town.
Well, it's just in case. He takes longer than necessary to get done with his business. But I'm assuming
I don't
he's
know.
still-
It seems like she scared them into being pretty speedy.
Then perhaps we'll wait here and see what happens.
Yeah, maybe. Could I have another cup of tea while we wait, please?
Sure. Any particular flavor?
Do you have oolong?
We do now.
Whiskey for me.
Yes. Would you like a glass or the bottle?
Glass is fine. On the rocks.
Anyone else?
Why are you so afraid of her?
Well, everyone's afraid of Tasha.
She actually seemed
Seems
quite
like
pleasant.
she's helping out the people that aren't afraid of her.
I believe she was putting on a and he starts to look around. Never mind. No, she's wonderful. I'm not scared of her.
You seem like it. Perhaps you should be.
Right. As my eyes start glowing. Alright. Yes, whiskey
Either
on the
way.
rocks. Oolong tea for
What do
her.
you mean
Anything
we
else
have
for her?
oolong now? Are you just gonna throw together a bunch of random herbs or something?
And he scratches his head and goes, "Of course not. No. But I'll be right back with your oolong tea and whiskey. And do you want another fish, Sir Pup?"
Yes, please.
Okay. And King Rakim, I believe I heard your name. Anything that I could get you, Your Highness.
Zuger will also take a whiskey.
Yes, certainly. and he goes to the back real quick. You can hear him rummaging very quickly to get everything that you guys requested. He comes out with what seems to be the closest thing he has to an oolong tea. And Maeve, judging by his character, you're not really sure that he's ever really served tea before because he doesn't even boil the water, and he pours it into your glass. And then he puts a couple cubes of ice into 2 really fine glasses and pours whiskey to about halfway and gives them to Zuka and Angie. And then he puts a platter of like 3 fish onto the floor for Snoopy. If you need anything else, please let me know. I don't see anyone ordering anything for the rest of the night, so it's on the house. Oh, and he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out 2 platinum pieces.
Put a couple of silver pieces on the counter.
You do that?
Yeah, I put some silver pieces on the counter. Thank you for your hospitality, sir.
No, please. And he shoves it away, and he's like, actually, I should be paying you. And he puts 2 platinum pieces and puts them in your hand. Please.
No, that's fine.
I agree.
No, Snoopy, we don't agree. Please take the silver. I know that you probably don't have a lot of resources.
Agree. I agree.
Snoopy, don't make me take those fish.
While this is going on, Angelica's just sipping away at the whiskey and observing the environment.
Yeah, everybody cleared out of that bitch, so it's just you guys and the bartender.
Rodin. Say, how often do those guys upstairs hold meetings like this?
And he looks around. I really don't know who they are. I've never really seen them before.
You know, you're quite skittish for working
We believe
in
him. I don't think we believe
this type of town.
Mm-hmm.
I do apologize.
You better. Just kidding. I don't say that.
Maybe it's because he's smart.
Well then. Yeah, we don't need anything else. If we need anything, we'll ask you. Thank you again.
My pleasure, yes. I added to your consumables tab, Kirsten, a scroll from Tasha's book.
Okay.
And then I'll add a new downtime activity that you can do whenever you guys take a long rest or have a few hours to kill. So you can try to research what it does. I'll probably add that after the session though, just to make it easier. Instead of me typing away.
Right. So, wonder how long it's going to take to get finished up there. The sooner we get this job done, the sooner we can move on to other activities.
I don't know. Why don't you go up there and ask him to hurry up?
I'd rather not without the help.
You hear the elevator starting to move towards the 3rd floor.
Apparently they're on their way.
Sips on my whiskey again. Well then.
I heat up my tea and I start.
Right. Granted that this is my first time getting in contact with these sorts, I'd rather just keep a low profile for now.
I think that's probably going to be a little past what we're at right now, Angie.
You think one of these people is
you think?
Joker's benefactor that he always talks about?
Perhaps the masked man?
Or do you think... Yeah, maybe it's him, or do you think there's someone in the City of Guilds? No, it doesn't matter.
The elevator starts to come back down.
Do we need to brace ourselves?
I would. I put my cup on the bar and start straightening out my gloves and cease distance on it, and then pick my cup right back up. Oh,
Gerald.
I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Like, learn how to stop, like, for real. I don't even why you do it. Don't even know why you do it at this point.
That fucker came out right now. I would like use one of my strongest spells on him.
Get him out of here immediately.
He'll be back.
No, he good. He can stay gone.
He can stay where he's at.
Anyway, elevator opens up and Medal then comes out and he kind of looks at you all. Well, we can spend as much time here as you want, but we should probably start on our journey here soon. But before we leave, you have a decision to make.
Ah, hell.
Don't worry. It's really just a matter of preference, I guess you could say. We've got two possible routes we could take in order to get you to the Sleepy Peak. Both of them quite dangerous because of reasons. But first of which would be to take the grand staircase back to the surface and make our trip on foot through Titanian-infested territory, where I can guarantee 100%, even using the slave trade routes, we will run into a platoon or two.
I love it.
Second is we could use the underground passageways here in the Underdark to our liking. That way, the Titanians remain unknowing of your location, my king. And at least we know that if anything does show its face, we know it to be an enemy regardless. And we can kill it without showing mercy. Might help with your moral facilities up top. And he pokes on his noggin.
As he says that, I look over at Zuka and just be like, as much as I have personal business with one of those Titanians, it's really your call.
I mean, we're not trying to die, right? We're gonna take the left.
Either way, we could possibly die. It's just which way we die.
I vote we stay in the Underdark.
I think people, if we go into Underdark, people won't be looking for us. Sure, we'll come across, but there's incentive and apparently a big bounty on your head that everybody will be looking for us or trying to tip off information.
And like I said, as much as I want to find that red-headed bitch and tear her a new one, it's all on you.
If we come across like a little creature in the Underdark, he's not going to run off and tell the whole leader of the Underdark and all of his minions to come find you at this location.
That's correct, actually. I don't believe anyone in the Underdark gives two shits about King Rakim. Not unless, of course, they're from the surface world. But I'll tell you, I've never, in all my years of being down here, ran into a Titanian before, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Their power is on the surface. They don't have any type of metal to be able to get down here and survive. The Underdark brings its own dangers, but luckily we are a quite large group. Not many creatures are going to see us as easy prey. But if one of you do get separated, you need to find everyone else fast.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rakim. Is he boring you?
Oh, am I not muted? Oh, shit. I thought I was muted. My bad.
Alright. Hey, I apologize for boring you guys. We're done for today. So I'm just fucking with you.
It's always Gerald's fault.
I'm just gonna go and cry myself to sleep. But
I wasn't even like that.
no, hey, I'm tired as fuck too. So I feel you.
Back in character. Well, you say it
I
like
slept
that.
till 12 today.
Wow.
All right.
That's-
Tasha pops out and says, "Fuck you," and blasts you in the face out of sheer jealousy. I was
I
kidding.
slept till 12 yesterday too, so.
Yeah, she does that shit twice.
Actually, I've done it 3 days.
She kills you and reanimates your corpse and kills you again.
If it makes you feel any better, I can't sleep in till 12 tomorrow, so.
Good. I'm glad.
Irony.
I'm
Only
just
10.
All right.
Anyways, I vote we stay in the Underdark, so there's less of a chance of people finding out that we're traveling with elephant men.
Yeah, we're traveling with a
And,
felon, so that's for the
we'll
best.
catch them more by surprise.
True.
Indeed.
Very well. Now, it will take us probably about an extra day to get to the Sleepy Peak, as there's not a straight shot through the Underdark Caverns. Is time much of a factor? Because I'll be honest, I believe that it'll take us roughly the same amount of time, even if we were to walk straight through to the Sleepy Peak, just because of how much bobbing and weaving we're going to have to do to get out of sight of Titania.
I mean, we're gonna get there a whole lot faster if we live, right, than if we die. So
That's
True,
true.
true.
Bottom
Very
line,
good.
We will have to deal with crap either way.
Yes.
One side, you have to deal with hordes of people, and the other side, we have to deal with creatures beyond we can understand. Possibly.
Well, if you're all ready to go, we can leave whenever you please. But if you'd rather rest or hang around Skullport for whatever reason, we can do that too. Up to you. I am at your beck and call.
We could probably leave as soon as possible, but we will probably need to get some rations.
I finished the rest of my whiskey along with the ice, and then slammed the cup on the counter, not to break it, but like
Okay.
on the bar, and then
Thanks
just
for clarifying.
stretch, and then thrust my fist into my hand, like I'm ready to go whenever.
You said you
What
need
time is it?
rations? And the barkeep goes to the back and comes out and brings you guys a rations enough for each of you to survive for a 10-day. Including Angelica,
Wonderful,
because he
thank
doesn't
you.
know that you're dead.
All right. Appreciate it. I give him at least 5 gold pieces. Here, take this at least. I've already been nice enough.
It's on the house.
No, trust me. Take it. And I give him a scowl.
And you put the gold into his hand, and he reluctantly puts it into his coin purse. And you can see Medell over there kind of like stroke his chin. Very curious. It seems Tasha's stricken fear into Skullport today. Don't worry, barkeep. You're not the only one pissing your pants. Well, if you're all
who's
quite
your
ready,
mom?
then... And he licks and shrugs. How should I know? I barely know Tasha
don't know.
myself.
everyone freaked out in there, and I thought you're. I don't know.
I'll be honest, as a Warforged, I don't really understand emotions, so I typically just
You're
mimic.
A Warforged?
That's correct.
Is Joker a Warforged?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I've never seen him without his mask or his black robe.
Alright then, keep your secrets.
All right.
Okay,
Roll my back a
Frodo.
little bit. I'm ready. Ready whenever you guys are ready.
Yep. Let's get out of
We're
here.
rolling out now?
Yeah.
I mean,
let's go get
We've
this done.
already
fast.
rested.
I mean, don't we have like diplomatic immunity in this town for a day?
Not for a
I
day.
think it's gonna be a little long every day.
Like 10 days.
Yeah, we've been on a boat for 4.
And don't get it twisted. Tasha has made it clear that you are under her protection. But the skulls don't give a shit about your protection.
And I would rather not have an attempt at burglary right now, sir.
Yeah, so I kind of do the Autobots let's roll out gesture and like, yep, we got.
Check around. I'm sure there's like cool shops and shit here. We just got so
We
much.
can do that when we come back.
Snoopy, I
We're not-
know crime shit is your thing, but like we don't have the time.
We just got 40,000 gold to spend
I mean-
on things that can help us on this mission, and you just want to run away?
I
and
look out.
not check
I
out?
look towards my man. He's like, can you lead the way to where we gotta go?
And he bows down to you. Yes, King Rakim.
Stop. Like, just take us to the direction.
Y'all are retarded.
And you're a rude dog.
Fuck off. I sit.
I grab Snoopy. All right,
Snoopy,
let's go. I hold him. Hold him
I
off.
blink out of your hands.
Oh, fine. Walk on your own.
Okay, so
Metal dim sum. Is there any magical item for sale in a shop here?
not really, but there are poisons.
Any black market, like sneaky underground stuff?
Black market in Skullport? No, I've never heard of it. Of course, there's illegal wares here. What is it that
How
you're
would
looking for? We could possibly stop by on the way out.
Some weapons or some items that would help conceal us or get us there faster, you know? We just got enough money to buy a galleon.
You are correct, but unfortunately I think you misjudge exactly what Skullport is known for, and it's known for slaves. If you want to
we
buy...
can hire a bunch of slaves to be cannon fodder.
And since I lead that trade, I could cut you a good deal. And we could bring them with us, and if things get dicey, we can leave them behind for them to get eaten. Instead of us. I
Sounds
like your
quite a waste of
thinking.
money. I'd rather
No.
have a slave. If I were to have a slave, I'd rather have one to train one and then use as a companion of some kind.
Well, those ones are more. Alright. Fine, let's go.
And we're walking.
Hey, Raheem, since we're not gonna have a second to talk, I guess I'll do it here. Raheem, what matters to you?
Are we walking and talking at the same time?
Unless you don't want to, yes.
Okay. In what fashion? What do you mean? That's a very
What's
broad
your
question.
goal?
Well, ultimately, to get my kingdom back and to save my people, and then after that, finish what me and my first group sought to do before I got caught up in all this.
Well, I basically have a guarantee on how to free your people. Like right now.
Okay.
It's not the best option for you, but if that's all that really matters is your people to you.
Mm-hmm. Run it by me.
Well, so I was told that the bounty on your head is worth more than your kingdom was ever worth, so I'm sure if we collected that bounty, we'd be able to buy all of your enslaved people and set them free.
As you guys are walking and you say that, Medell looks over his shoulder. I'll be honest, I don't believe they're selling Luxodons at all. It's the orcs that have them enslaved, not the Titanians. And I'm almost certain that the orcs intend to run the race into the ground, into utter extinction, based on the transgressions
we could
of the
hire
Luxodons.
a gigantic mercenary army and crush them all.
Touche.
Money is power.
To the right buyer, of course.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know about the orcs, so that complicates it a little bit. Also, you'll be a martyr, so I understand if it's not the route you want to go. I just thought I'd bring it up.
Okay. I'm trying to, cause it's like a lot that I gotta kind of explain here. And I'm just trying to figure out the best way to explain it. Okay. So, say if we were to go with your plan, what happens
Hey,
after
it's
that?
not necessarily my plan.
I know. But if since you're the only one that's bringing it up, what after that? What happens to my people after? We just set them free, and then what?
I mean, I'm sure we'd be able to set them free and give them some COVID checks and maybe transport them to a place where they'd be accepted, say the city of Guild or something, set up a couple trust funds. I'm sure they'd get a society.
How, Brady, is it hard to get into the city of Guild?
No, not at all. It's actually probably the easiest empire to get into. They don't like necessarily. It's not that they don't like. Yeah, it's not that they don't check how many people come through, but like they don't have the restrictions that a lot of other empires do.
Well, that doesn't help because the objective is to free my people, and then rebuild Zerda.
Okay, see, if that's what you want, this plan won't work.
Yeah,
that's
what I said. I said to get my king.
Well, I mean, I wasn't sure what you really wanted. I was just thinking about the people. So if that's not all that matters to you, we can just move on from this idea.
Yeah, so he just continues walking.
Only thing that's important right now is getting to the Sleepy Peaks. We'll worry about everything else later.
And I don't want to kill you, Rakim. Or Zuka. I was just thinking outside the box.
Alright.
Seems you all got quite a differential in ideals. How long have you all been a group?
Yeah.
About a week.
That's
maybe.
a very funny question.
No, it's been like a couple days, hasn't it?
Well, it took us 2 or 3 days to get here on the boat, right?
That is true.
Few days
Everyone
for them.
I meet dies in a week.
He kind of stops
days
and
for
looks
them.
back at you. Well, that's quite grim. And continues walking.
Yeah, in short, it's been a few days for them and about a week for me and this doggy here. And yes, I have died.
And as you guys are walking through the streets of Skullport, being led by Medal Din, a lot of the people that are kind of skulking about, and they'll peek out of the alleyway, see who it is, and then they run off after seeing who's leading you all. Very interesting. I've never really heard of a group dynamic that can replenish itself so quickly.
You'd be surprised. It's almost as if
We just
fate
kinda-
wants to.
Happened upon each other.
I can understand that.
I thought you came looking for me.
Indeed.
I did. I mean, we all just kind of happened to find each other. But yes, I was looking for you. I don't think Rakeem was looking for us.
No, he just happened to live, and he definitely happened upon us.
He was just dropped on us, you know, like that cousin that nobody wants to hang out with.
Wow.
Hey, Din Tai Fung, is Xanthar like a thing, a title, a name?
It's exactly that, a title. Why, do you
like
want to become the
King
next one?
Beholder? Sure. I don't know.
He surely does.
Well, I'm sure maybe you could trick everyone into thinking you're a beholder somehow. But the Xanathar's Guild, and he looks around to see, like, what type of eyes are on him right now. The Xanathar's Guild was started by a beholder and has always been controlled by one as well.
Well, I made friends with that beholder as much of a friend as you can make with the beholder, I suppose.
Yeah,
That's
he's
a
made
good
friends
way
with
of
that
putting
beholder.
it. Because I'll be honest, I don't believe he sees anyone as a friend as much as he sees them as a threat. Although you did release him from his prison that turtle put him in.
I think if you put me in a crowd of like 10,000 people, he would probably kill me last, but then he would kill me last.
And because of that,
That's how I feel about my relationship with him.
And because of that Tordo, now me and that beholder have a bit of a rivalry going on.
You know, Angie, one of these days you're just gonna like be compelled to do something that you don't even want to do. Are you gonna just like off yourself at that point? Or all right, let's not worry about that. We got
Hey,
like about to light the goddamn tower, and he's like, "Oh, I have to leave." Just start sprinting down the mountain through Titania.
hey, but you know that museum mission that we had, I actually had a heart-to-heart with him.
Sure.
So,
You don't have a beating heart.
you know what I mean.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had a bit of a chat, and he said the option's still there if I'd ever decided to want to end it all.
That sounds like quite the heart-to-heart. You know, I could kill you if you wanted me to.
Indeed. But that's if I'm not feeling whatever he's selling.
I guess it's better than him making it so you couldn't kill yourself.
Indeed. At least he made that clear from the moment he brought me back. Says I could do whatever I want until he decides that he needs something. Which, making it explicitly clear that if he needs something, it's something important.
And it's probably something bad enough that you'll consider killing yourself to stop yourself from doing.
We'll come to that if it ever comes. Or when it comes.
All
For
right.
now, I just want to focus on doing whatever I want to do.
Well, we've made it to our exit, Steamfall Pass. And as you guys start to get towards the edge of where some of the houses are, you see that there's a very large smithy in front of you. And on the back side of it is a sort of like cavern that goes deeper and darker. And at this point, there's no torches beyond that point. And Medell grabs his mask, and he essentially like you see him like flip something on the back side of his mask, and the eye sockets turn green. Well, I can see in the dark now. Are all of you capable of seeing in the dark, or do we need a torch?
I can see.
I can see her. Right.
I think I have a thing.
Yeah, you should have your goggles of night vision or dark vision or whatever.
Yeah, you just see my eyes are just glowing.
Goggles of night vision. Can't call them night vision goggles.
goggles of dark vision.
Yeah, goggles of night. That's what they're called. That's the official term.
That's better.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we're really trying here.
Facts, man. Facts.
I can see perfectly fine. What about you, Snoopy?
Yeah, I can see, and I like flip my eye patch over to my other eye, and you like see the eye like adjust and turn pitch black.
Huh.
That's rather creepy, but it'll do. And then he starts walking towards the backside of the blacksmith. And as he gets there, he kind of holds out his arm. All right. When the gust of steam blows by, we run.
All right.
And after waiting for like 45 seconds, you hear a large, much like a train when it pulls into the station and all that steam, and like exactly that sound. And after it's done, Medell starts to run and head down the cavern.
I follow the same speed, same pace.
This is weird.
So he runs for about 300 feet or so before he stops, and he touches the side of the cavern, and he goes, "Perfect. Steam doesn't seem to get this far, so we should be safe now." And after he says that, you hear the steam again, and it is probably about 20 feet away from you guys, and you can see that after it dissipates and stops, that the rocks on the side are just kind of like they've got a nice steady smoke trail of steam just from how hot they've become from that steam. And that is why we ran. Had we walked, you all would have been burning right now.
Noted.
Well,
Noted.
I would stick close and try not to get separated.
All right.
Our journey will take us probably about 4 days or so, and that's if we don't come into any type of trouble.
Yeah, I'm counting on it. As I like fix my glove again.
And you watch him hold out his arm, and about where like the middle of the forearm, you see it separate, and then a battle axe flips out, and he grabs it with his hand, and his arm then encloses again. I would have your weapons ready at all times down here.
I pull out the harpoon gun and cock it. All right.
For the harpoon gun, I think what we'll do is just use your javelins as the attack and damage rolls. It'll just make it easier.
But it's way cooler because it's a harpoon gun.
Yeah, it'll be used as a harpoon gun that you can use your javelins for. We'll say that if you're using the harpoon gun, it actually doubles the range. So it can be used effectively at 60 feet to a total of 240 feet. How about that?
Sweet. Yes.
But the rope only goes to the 60 feet mark. Beyond that, the rope will disattach from the harpoon gun and just fly with it.
Cool.
But you can also take the rope off if you want.
All right. Yeah.
So as you guys start walking, Medell keeps the axe kind of like by his side, and you can see that he's constantly surveying y'all's surroundings as you're walking. And every time there's some sort of like sound, he kind of stops and he glances over there, and essentially he's scanning the area for anything, and then he continues to walk. Now, I don't want to say that we can't speak, because that would make this a very, very dull trip. But I would make it as much of a whisper as you can muster. Have any of you been to the Underdark before?
It's a first for me.
And the rest of you?
No, I don't think so.
You could just say,
You know what? Unless that Beholder's labyrinth was the Underdark.
I highly doubt it. We're miles beneath the surface right now.
Yeah, well, we were teleported, so it could have been anywhere.
Touche.
But so no. Short answer, no.
As beautiful as some of the sights can be, this is I would say, if it's not tied for the most dangerous place in the world, it's definitely comes second. And the only thing I would put in front of it would be that of the Guista Empire's frozen tundras. And he starts to walk and continues surveying everything. Have you all fought many beasts in your journeys?
Ooh, I have. Even before I met these guys.
Well, I would think of everything that you fought on the surface as chump change compared to what dwells down here.
Looking forward to it.
As he continues walking, you end up starting to see, now that you're getting a little bit further away from Skullport, you're starting to see the shift in, I guess, natural cavernous foliage. From what you saw in Skullport, it was pretty much all barren rock, but now you're starting to see like the fungus, the different shrubs that actually can survive down here. There's very few varieties of plants. Most of it is fungus and mushrooms and things of that nature. But you start to go a little bit more and more in depth into the Underdark, and these things start to illuminate themselves and glow.
Interesting.
Yes, very much so.
Say, how often do you come down here?
Well, you're not gonna like this answer, but we take slaves down these routes to get from one kingdom to the other, to sell them to folks of high class as, and he does air quotes, servants. And this is one of the ways that we've been able to do so without being caught. By the way,
Indeed.
I tell you this in good faith. I'm trusting you with my life, as I hope to trust you with, as I hope you trust yours with mine.
We're all in this together at this point, far away from help.
Exactly. I am your help.
As we are yours.
So,
by creatures, what do you mean? What are we expected to see?
Well, there's all sorts of things that dwell down here. A lot of the things that don't make it onto the surface of the world find their ways through the nooks and crannies of the earth just to get through to the Underdark to start a new living. You ever heard of a Hokora?
Have I?
No, I don't believe any of you. Go ahead and roll history, all of you. Okay. So, Rakim and Snoopy have actually heard of these creatures.
Ooh, sexy.
So he starts to describe them as these big creatures that have all these chitinous plates around them, making them extremely armored in a natural sense. And instead of normal arms, there are these big bony protrusions from their arms that essentially make a natural hook, almost like a fish hook. And then they've got beaks of an eagle, essentially. But they are extremely aggressive and extremely carnivorous, or exclusively carnivorous. And they're dumb enough to not know when they're losing a fight and will fight to the death. We've lost many, many dozens of slaves to those beasts, all because they were able to pick up the scent and hear the screams of the slaves as they realize their fate. Which is why you want to be quiet down here. Everything echoes, and you may think that you're only being heard maybe a couple 100 feet, but I guarantee you it's at least a few miles. And when things start to make noise, they know that something doesn't belong, and they come stalking.
Kind of like a sonar with a spider.
In a way, yes. Which the Underdark has plenty of those, too. Have you ever heard of a harpoon spider?
I have not.
Nasty little creatures have this special saliva that's near impossible to get off once it's adhered to a piece of clothing, armor, even the natural skin. And then they essentially reel you in, much like a fisherman does a fish, and feast on your flesh after they kill you with their poison.
That sounds pleasant.
It's not.
Well, to the hopes that we do not run into any of these things, I'm sure we'll run into at least one.
Perhaps. More than likely, though, we're going to run into either deep gnomes, Durgar, or drow. Possibly even illithid. There are different routes on the way that have temporary markets that we had created in order to sell some of our slaves to these different factions. And no doubt they still flock to those areas in hopes of trade. And let's hope that they don't mistake you all as slaves, as they know my face.
And what will happen if they do?
Well, the illithids wouldn't care either way, whether I'm guiding you as a friend or as a proprietor of goods. They only see you all as food, and especially if they're coming up on hard times, they might even try to kill us all, just for a feast. The drow absolutely hate surface dwellers, and since you all have obviously not ever been down here, and you definitely show it because of your skin complexions, they more than likely would do it out of spite. The Durgar and the Deep Gnomes I'm not all too worried about. Deep Gnomes don't really participate in our slave auctions, but they would rather be able to purchase them for their freedom. Kind bastards.
Well,
If we're lucky, those are the only things that we run into.
yeah. Thanks for the roadmap.
King Rakim, might I ask you a question? I guess.
I shake my head. Yes.
What happened to your other group that you were with when I met you that year ago?
Your guess is as good as mine. After my kingdom was attacked, which I'm sure, after it was attacked, we kind of went our separate ways from there because I was stuck.
Ah. I'll be honest, I had anticipated you all to try to bring the downfall of the Black Hand after that debacle with the gnolls.
Yeah, hold on, I don't remember I was there for, but
You played Zuka at the beginning, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about when they summoned. Was he there for the summon?
Yeah, Yanagu.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were there.
Okay. But yeah, that gnoll, those gnolls end up doing something bigger than what we expected, which I'm pretty sure you.
Yes, we knew what the monstrous races wanted the slaves for, and they were paying top dollar. So unfortunately, I guess you could blame the Black Hand for it, in a way.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
That emerald slab that they were holding, do you know what that's about?
I do.
Care to share?
Not in particular. I'll tell you this much. I know that there's a certain amount of them in the world, and that whoever finds all and collects all 8 of them will be able to find treasure unmatched. Treasure, power, probably both, actually. And that's all I know about it, really. What makes you so keen on that tablet? I don't believe many people look at it and are curious, besides maybe how much it's worth.
And that's exactly it. Sounds like it's worth a lot.
I'm almost certain that it is. In fact, and he looks at Snoopy, Snoopy knows exactly how much it's worth, at least. For one of them.
I know how much I bought it for.
And I'll tell you, you got
doesn't
off
mean
with
that's
a
how much
good
it's
bargain.
worth.
You're correct. It's worth far more than that. The priceless artifact, really. Are you interested in procuring the tablets for yourself? Or perhaps maybe...
Nope. One of our guys tried to use it, and he almost died.
And that's because he didn't have them all.
I do a shush gesture to Snoopy.
Why, Angie?
Because you wouldn't want to die down here, would you?
Excuse me?
If you heard what he was saying, if we're loud, we might run into some stuff we don't want to run into.
Oh, you mean like...
Avoid
you mean like actually volume shush? Sorry. I thought you were
Indeed.
telling me to withhold information.
No. You can say whatever you like. I just would rather
And I
not die
thought you were
again.
threatening me.
No. But continue, just at a lower tone.
Prince Rakim, are you interested in maybe partnering up to get these emerald tablets?
Possibly.
You want them?
Did you not just hear what he said? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Did y'all
I
hear
was just
that?
ignoring you.
Oh, okay.
Roasted.
Well, whatever you decide. Can I wait till after we're done with what we need to do?
Yes, of course. I mean, emerald tablets are not down here in the Underdark from what we've gathered.
Indeed. Yeah, because as I'm saying all this, I'm just looking around, like watching my shoulder and everything like that, just paranoid.
So, as you guys are moving forward, the cavern's starting to expand, and you get to the end, and he kind of holds up an arm and starts to look around. And as you guys look around, you can see, obviously 60 feet or whatever your dark vision length is. You can see up to that, and then beyond that is just complete pitch black. Looks like we've made it to the first cavern. Now, the thing about this, some of these creatures rely on a sort of infrared vision. And unfortunately, I believe all of you give off some amount of heat, do you
Nope.
not?
Not all of us.
Oh?
Not at all.
Well, then you and I are the safest ones, and unfortunately there are 3 of you, and depending on how many of the creatures reside in this cavern, there might be a fight.
You just hear.
Do you have any sort of
Yeah.
heavy cloaks?
Not that I know of, but I know this one here. I'll point to Snoopy. You'd think camouflage would work on him?
And he looks around.
Invisibility?
Invisibility may help for some of the creatures, but others it will not be. It wouldn't be anything. If you think about it, being here in the pitch black, most of these creatures essentially are peeking into the invisible.
Looks like we have a hell of a fight on our hands then.
You hear a
Hope you
couple
guys
of
are
drips of water splash, and he looks over. Did you hear that? Perhaps maybe we can cover you up in mud. All of you roll survival.
Say
and
no more.
he'll-
Mud? Are we doing mud or just drenching ourselves?
First, we gotta see if you find it. So roll survival.
Because I got a question. He says,
Okay. And Zuka and Angie, after you guys get to the puddle, Zuka and Angie go about 20 feet away from it, and they find where a stream has hit some a large pile of dirt and stuff, and essentially created a bunch of mud. You guys call over Medel Din, and he comes over. Yes, that should be enough for all of you, or at least for sure Snoopy and the girl.
I do a couple of snaps to call over Snoopy.
do we need more mud? Or
Well, there
Also-
doesn't seem to be enough dirt here. And as he starts to dig a little, he only gets maybe 2 inches into this little dirt pile, and then he hits solid rock. Not much dirt does get down here. Usually it's left behind from any type of mining expeditions that come through. But most of it's solid rock and slate. So I think we're lucky to have found enough to at least cover up 2 of you. And we could
Granted.
partially cover you, Rakim. It'll definitely make our chances of being spotted a little harder, especially if we're all packed together, to essentially block their vision, line of sight of you.
Excuse me.
Bless you, Rakim, but don't do it again.
Gotcha.
I'm like halfway expecting like if Rakim would sneeze, like it'll make a trumpet noise.
Just the whole cave just erupts with the sound of an elephant.
All right, so we need to cover Europe and Maeve. You're okay? We're getting dirty.
You're muted, by the way.
I'm already rolling in the mud.
Yes, I can clean myself almost instantly, so I'm fine.
All right. I start helping put the mud on her.
Okay.
All right. Now it's just a matter of him, since he's the biggest of all of us here.
I was gonna say something, but totally.
Okay.
I just start covering what I can, my face and stuff like that.
All right. Looking pretty good. So I guess if everybody's good, we can keep moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Oh yeah, I never remember. If need be, if heat is what they sense, I could possibly throw one of my fire bombs towards the direction while we slip by.
Ah. Yes, that could work for us, actually.
Boy. Good thinking.
Well, let's continue then. Nice and steady, everyone. And as he starts to move, like, obviously you can hear a slight echo of the crunching of rocks between all of your feet when you move, except for Snoopy, because, you know, he's a tiny little dog. But then you start to hear in the distance something like,
You hear that?
I do. Help us.
I would assume the best idea would be to keep moving, right?
Correct. Now's not the time to have moral obligations to those in need. It sounds like it's coming from that direction. And he points like towards the left-hand side of the cavern that you guys are in. And he starts to move to the right.
By my experience, going into a dark cave and hearing screams for help could surely mean a trap.
Shh.
You know, we well, problem solved.
Hold on, what happened?
Medelgin is currently fixated on that location, and he's like waving you guys to be quiet. Quietly back up. starts to take steps backwards. Everybody in front of Rakim.
Yeah, and I aim the harpoon towards that direction and slowly back up.
So as let's see. So as you guys are backing up, you hear some thumping as something's like starting to move closer to you guys, and then you guys end up seeing like a couple of boulders, and you duck behind them real quick. And as you you hear these pitter patters come up, and you see this big ass this large purple, well actually it's all dark vision so you can't see, but you see this creature that has two claws on both its feet and its long arms. It's got this enormous gullet and what almost looks to be like some sort of throat sac, and then it's almost got these pincers that resemble that of a spider, except for they're fleshier. And it's coming through and it's looking around and it's scraping at the dirt and stuff like that. And after a second of it investigating the area, it ends up running off, and you can hear what sounds like the ripping of flesh in the distance.
Very quietly, we need to get out of here. More than
Right
likely,
behind you.
there's at least half a dozen of them. Ettercaps. They don't hunt alone.
As you guys
Lead the
start
way.
to attempt to get out of there, I need everyone to roll me a stealth check. So enough of you pass for you to get by. There are a couple of rocks that end up, getting squished and stuff, and Medell grabs one and tosses it on the other side of the cavern, and it makes a loud thump, and you hear, and you can hear the pitter-patter of feet, and it sounds like there's quite a few of them as they run towards that location. But you guys are able to essentially circle around, and Medell looks towards the cavern wall, and eventually goes, here we go. And there's a crack that's enough for a medium creature to squeeze through, but it's very uncomfortable, especially for Rakim because of, his horns and just his bulky size. Angelica can almost barely squeeze through because of her height. Snoopy has no issue. He just walks through. He's like, haha, sucks to suck. And Maeve, being a slender half-elf, is able to essentially contort her body into the forms that she needs to get through. And as you guys are doing that, you end up hearing the pitter-patter of the feet come by, and you can hear sniffing sounds. And as you guys all freeze, who's in the back? Medell's obviously leading, and I would assume either Maeve, Rakim, or Snoopy are probably behind him. I would think that if anything, Angelica's leading the back.
Yeah, I'll lead the back.
So you can see an Ettercap come by, but he's a little bit bigger than the one that you had seen beforehand, and he has definitely noticed your footprints. You can see him essentially like clawing at them, but he can't see anything because of the sort of angle that you've got, and because of the fact that you don't emit any type of heat. It looks directly at you, And as you're standing there completely still, it doesn't seem to notice that you're there. It just thinks that you're a rock formation, and it scrapes at the footprints, and eventually it runs off, and you can hear the pitter-patter.
I think we're clear.
And without saying a word, Medell starts to move forward again. And it's about 100 feet of this squeezing through this crack before you come out. And when you finally do, you're on the other side, and you're in this sort of fungal grove of various sizes of mushroom. Everything from the mushrooms that we would find normally in like our backyards to these giant tree-sized mushrooms. And you can see that they sort of glow with this vibrant light, mostly purples and dark blue colors, but they essentially pulsate. So they pulse, and then they dim, and then they pulse brighter, and then they dim. Now this is probably the safest location, at least for those that don't require to breathe.
Angie, can you get me some samples?
Sure.
Yay.
And as he moves forward, he turns around and goes, every one of these is dangerous in some way or another, and I'll show you why. And he takes his axe and he kind of flicks it on one of the mushrooms, and you watch as it kind of like wobbles, kind of like a bobblehead. So like it's sitting in place and wobbles, and then all of a sudden it kind of shivers, and then these spores explode from the mushroom cap, and they're of a reddish color.
Zuka know what this is? Or has seen this
as an alchemist, roll a nature check with advantage. The rest of you can roll a normal nature check. So Zuka, you remember in one of your many lessons with Dromdal Ray that he actually told you of these very rare mushrooms that he's come across. He didn't know where they came from, but someone was able to preserve them from whatever location they had cultivated them from, and were able to create like a large batch and sort of like an underground farm that they had made. And one day when he went to go and see the growth of these mushrooms, he told you that the proprietor was found dead. Essentially, he had breathed in a batch of these spores that were created from these mushrooms, and it essentially inflamed his lungs to the point to where he couldn't breathe.
You can just put it in this glass vial that I have.
Yeah, these are no good. We still whispering?
Unless you're not whispering.
Okay. I'm just
Put it.
All right. I'd grab the vial from her and pull a sample out and put it inside the vial.
Okay.
And
And go ahead.
Can I ask you a question real quick, Brady?
Sure.
Can you bring us into a private room?
Sure. Do you want me to mute? Do you want me to mute the stream too, or is it?
No.
Okay.
You don't. Well, I mean, it's up to you.
No, I'll keep it.
Okay. Did I witness that mushroom creature thing? Did Zuka witness that?
Mushroom creature thing.
That happened at Zerodale.
Oh, yes.
Is this related to does that look like anything he saw? That's more or less what I was going for.
These, I mean, so that what you saw, You saw normal people, normal humans that were fighting, and the moment that they died, they exploded into spores that are very similar to these. But from what you know with your herbology and stuff like that, is that's how mushrooms replicate. Is they shoot off spores that get carried into the wind or whatever in order to essentially cultivate into other locations and things like that. So you kind of like see this and maybe you think about that, but these are much more colorful in terms of the vibrance and the life that is in them. The ones you saw from that demon lord are much more, they're dark and grim colors.
Okay. Okay, cool. That's dope. All right, you can.
Oh.
Y'all talking shit?
Oh,
No, we're done with that already.
Excellent. So as you guys are about to start moving, Medell looks and says, unless you have some sort of protective mask, I would just be extremely careful. If you touch the wrong one, there could be trouble. Each of these mushrooms have a different type of spore that they're ready to deliver to those that harm it. And I've come to notice that the smaller ones have these poisonous effects, while the larger ones are essentially a call to arms.
Yeah, I go towards a smaller one and try and nab one of those.
Okay.
And then I just put it in the vial and seal it away.
Okay, easy enough.
And then I hand it back to Maeve.
Thank you. You're amazing. I love you.
Uh-huh. All right. What's next, Captain?
Whoa.
Sounds like Maeve
Man.
just inhaled the spores.
Yeah, she's smoking
More like
good right now.
gasoline.
She actually fucking did, dude.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, let's see. So as you guys are moving through, you notice that the floor is literally covered in these things. So I need everyone to roll athletics checks as you guys are going through. And it'll be like every 50 feet, you'll have to roll one.
I can do acrobatics. And does that give
Or
me
yeah,
some-
I meant acrobatics, not athletics. My bad.
I'll jump on my broom.
Can I jump on my?
You roll. Your first roll will be taken, and then after that, you can learn your lesson.
If I live?
Oh, Medell needs to do his thing because he doesn't have a way to fly. And then Zuka.
Okay, I'm rolling acrobatics.
Correct.
I thought I had a thing for this.
Okay. Maeve, roll a D100 for me.
Oh, lordy. That's not good.
Oh man.
It's not. So as you guys are coming through, you guys are being as careful as possible. And Angelica starts out, and then she's like, yo, what the fuck? And she grabs her broom and starts to fly up. As she does that, Maeve turns around rapidly, and she's like, oh, shit, that's fucking smart. And she ends up kicking a probably a cat-sized mushroom. And as that happens, you hear, ooh, and you watch as it falls over. Its arms in the air and its feet go above its head. And as it does that, it starts to roll, and it shivers, and it spits out like a jillion blue spores. As that happens, it sets off a chain reaction, and a bunch of the other mushrooms start to shiver and shoot off these blue spores. And you can see the mushrooms start to actually move, uproot. They open up their eyes, and they start to walk towards you guys in a
I'm gonna say step the fuck out of there.
a very aggressive manner. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Myconoids.
I made sure. Let me jump on.
It's so cute.
I have some really cool minis that Nicole painted of myconoids.
So essentially, that mushroom made a Minecraft Steve noise.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what it did.
All right, guys. I will talk to you next week. Are we Monday?
Unless there's further delays.
Pretty sure, yeah. I don't see why we wouldn't be Monday.
Sweet. All right, guys.
Good night.
Yeah. The only way it wouldn't
too.
be Monday is actually Jeff is going to be in town tomorrow. If he's staying, I think he's staying until I think he leaves on Monday. If he doesn't leave on Monday, then I'll push it back to Tuesday. But I'll know that when he gets here tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah.
I won't be able to do. I will not be able to do it on Tuesday.
Okay. Would you be able to do Wednesday?
More likely, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we'll
Tuesday's
more.
our anniversary, so probably not.
Ooh, you right. My man got things to do. Yeah. Yeah.
God dang adult. Quit being an adult in here, man.
I know, right? But no, Monday I think should be fine. I'm pretty sure he's heading home on that day, so we should be good.
Is Jeff staying with
All
you
right,
guys?
cool.
Yeah, he'll be staying with us through the weekend.
fun.
So we do
Are we
plan to
doing a
have a
game
game
night?
day. Yes.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah,
I'll let
so
you-
I took a sip.
Au revoir, dude.
Bye, Joe. Have a good night. I took a
Joey.
sip of one of those scotches out of that advent calendar, and I thought I was gonna die.
Really?
It was 43%
Damn.
Swedish scotch, and it tasted and felt like pure gasoline.
As it
Sounds about
does.
right.
Sounds
So-
like.
I threw it in my Coke, and it's much better. There's
That's
some
hilarious.
that I can drink straight, and it's fine, but this was not one of them.
Ma'am, it sounds like you drank moonshine.
I mean,
It felt like it. Yeah.
I'll be honest. Those little shots of whiskey are really good for when you're on the mountain heading up the chairlift. You just take a shot real quick. By the time you get to the end of the chairlift, you're starting to feel it, and then you have just a nice, relaxing ride down. And you hope that you don't get to the point that you're so tipsy that you lose your balance, because then you're gonna crash.
Yeah. That's funny.
I actually have never done it, but I had a friend that got a little too tipsy, and he couldn't even put on his fucking bindings. He was so gone. That shit was so funny, dude. That dude
That's a
was
bummer.
gone. So, all right. Well, I'm going to end the stream real quick. I'll be right back. All right, everybody. Hopefully you had a good old time. Next session, we fight myconids. I love myconids. They're the little mushroom people. And I don't know if my original party, like original, remember this, but when they were on the way to meet Inniscraft for the very first time, they actually fell onto her surface grove of myconids. And I actually did a really stellar job role-playing them, as everything they said ended up rhyming. And I honestly don't think that I can do it again, because I was just in the zone that day. But the myconids rhymed, and they use their spores to communicate because they don't have mouths, so they can't really talk to you. So they use these telepathic spores to essentially, you inhale them, and now you can hear their thoughts, and they can hear yours for like a short time. It's really cool. It's essentially the what is it? I forget what the spell's called, but anyway, it's essentially that spell, but like an at-will ability so that they can communicate. So we'll be starting next session off with that. And over Christmas break, I had my father-in-law pick out a creature that he wanted the party to fight, and he picked out this thing. Should be fun. So until next time, we'll see ya. Peace!